Good morning, everyone. I'm here to do a historical read again. Take it as it resonates, like it may resonate for somebody, or you're just watching out of interest. I'm at Cossack, which is sort of north, midwest, Western Australia, and this is like a very early port here. Um, a very port during settlement, and I'm in the old I'm on the veranda of the customs house. There's no, like this. It's used for functions and things like that, but most of the time there's nothing here, nobody here. So I'll just give you a little whiz around on this little part where I'm at. So that gives you an idea where I'm sitting. There's an old jail here. I went into the jail here and it's like, wow, I felt sick as soon as I walked in there. I might take you a little walk around to show you after, but yeah, the energy in there, and I can see the people once sitting in there as well. It was very, very wretched, and they, when I was in there, I could see that somebody in there would transport themselves out of there, like spiritually. I guess astro travel from the prison cell and onto the water. There's all water here. The people here. I don't know the name of the indigenous people here, but like it's all fishing and turtles, and it's beautiful, like mangroves and crabs. Like you awesome lifestyle, but very, very severe weather, like with the heat and cyclones and that kind of thing. But when I was in the prison cell, I was seeing the floor in the prison as if I was on the water, like I was in the water. So whoever was in that cell astro projected themselves out of the cell and onto the water, which was pretty amazing. The other thing is there's a couple of islands just off here, and there was 2 spots that were used as leprosians. Like they had a lot of the, started off with one Chinese man who was out on different stations and whatnot, and he had contracted leprosy, and then it spread through to I don't know how it comes about, but a lot of the indigenous people ended up with leprosy, and like if you don't know what leprosy is, it's kind of like it's an awful disease where their fingers and things drop off, like the skin falls off, and like it's really gross, but very, very highly infectious. And so they would put them on these islands just off of the coast, just out here, and isolate them. And so they say try and make them as comfortable as possible when they were there. My great-grandmother, she actually was a nurse, and apparently, and I thought it was further down south, but it might have been here, I'm not sure, that she went and nursed, looked after lepers on an island, but I'm not sure whether it was here or somewhere else further down south. I actually thought it was a bit further down south, but it might have been here. Because this is the only evidence I've found of any leprosians around in my travel. So it could have been here, but anyway, my great-grandmother lived here, so my dad's side. Wherever that island was that she did, she looked after those lepers as a nurse. And then she went across from there, she got an Aboriginal tracker and went across country, like would be well, it would be 1,000 kilometres down towards Mullawar. Yeah, Mullawar, down past Geraldton, not 1,000, maybe 800 kilometres maybe away from here, in a camel, and in a camel, on a camel with an Aboriginal tracker, and went across country and started in the hospital in Mullawar and looked after Indigenous people there. So she was a pretty amazing woman, you know. But she'd left her family and left them behind. She left all her children with her father and all that. But she was sort of like in an arranged marriage, and she didn't want to be married at all. She just wanted to be a nurse. So she left the family and went to one of these leper islands to look. It doesn't say anything on the records here, but you know, like there's only very, very minimal information here as to a nurse being out here. So I don't know where that story was first told to my family, because it's just been word of mouth in my family that I know of this. So anyway, I'm going to do a bit of a reading. So I'm going to start off with the Aboriginal spirit, because as I was walking around here too, there was somebody here that said they'd been here like 600 years. Like, wow. You know? And so obviously it would have been completely different then, like there would have been no settlement or anything, it would have been just as it is. So I'm like that. Manifestation. Just turn these cards around. Yeah, so let's get into it. Let's see what comes out. So I'll start off with the Aboriginal cards, and then I'll do the Lenormand one, because that one always comes out with these historical sort of settlement stories, makes it look very clear. But then we're going to start off with the Indigenous, and then of course, you know, we have the settlement cards, and then also we're going to do some clarification with the Kipper, which is also about that sort of settlement feel, and I also have the tarot. I don't know what this tarot one's called. Anyway, let's do it. What have we got here, Spirit? Who's here? There was somebody here saying that they had been seen by people. Somebody's been seen, and somebody's name is Massey, and somebody's name was Glennis. So let's see who comes in. Holy Spirit at the highest frequency. What is the message? What is the message here? What is the message? Holy Spirit, Holy Ancestors. What is the message here? What is the message? I'm seeing here like a scabbard beetle on here. And the scabbard beetle is like a recycler, right? They, you know, like they take shit and they use it. They roll it up and I don't know what they do. Do they eat it? We've got accomplishment here. Manifestation. Got a lot of rat shit on the table. Rat shit on the table. That's pretty gross, right? But it's all dried out. A lot of friendship. Oh, and that's what somebody said too. When I was wandering around the buildings. There's some pretty fabulous old stone buildings here. And they said, yeah, we're friends. accomplishment, manifestation, love. Accomplishing, manifesting love. That's what we want to do, right? Is bring back love to these places. There's still a lot of suffering going on around here, you know, like especially down in Rover. There's a prison there, and a lot of people, you know, are really, really messed up. We've got indecisiveness. Somebody can't make a decision about something. Somebody's being indecisive about something manifesting. Manifesting growth. One more thing is indecisive of what direction to take. We have a victory. Well, we're just going to spread this right out here now. Like we've got two others that have come out. We've got a victory and truth, because we're bringing the truth, right, with our messages. And there's a windfall. So, some sort of truth is a windfall. Wow. Something on top of the hill here. You're seeing a path. Someone's seeing a path and a hill, a hill, a hill. There's a hill, look out just up here, it looks like that. There's a windfall, and then you've got the water and a hill here. And on top of that hill, there is, see how we've got the water, it's like the water here, and and it's on the, and this truth windfall and the hill, because this one here is showing us this hill, and it's saying truth is seeing some sort of truth on the hill. And this hill, there's a hill just here, it looks like this with a little path going up to the top. There's a look at, and on the top here there's a water tank. Here it's like a little, you know, it's like a little castle building, but this is like looking down, so, but it looks down over this little settlement here. So this is the old customs house. It was built by George Temple Poole in 1897. And so this hill overlooks this. But there's other buildings here as well, and a jail. And that was the thing, like in the jail, there was so many police officers, you know, like police officers out here. And I was like, well, you know, like you can imagine they're coming in the port, making the port here and settling here as a base into the northwest here. And how that would have been for the indigenous people here when they were coming in and taking them. So the prisons was made to just put people into it, because, you know, like what would they have been doing apart from defending the space? So I'm seeing them looking from this hill, the settlers seeing the windfall and the in this place, and how much access to resources from here because of the port. The port would have been, you know, the trades coming in and out for the other outlying towns. directions in reverse. So let's clarify with these ones. Accomplishment. The accomplishment to manifest love. I bring love back to this situation because there's a lot of suffering here, like with the leprosy and the prison, people losing their place on the land, and all the police. There was like 200 police or something, this tiny little spot. They sent all the young police officers here as well, like that had no experience and whatnot, because nobody wanted to come out this far because it was so remote and isolated, and they were had to live in a tent, so families didn't want to be here. It was just too harsh, and so they sent a lot of the young recruit police officers, and there was, you know, something like to 100 police officers that had like 20 Aboriginal trackers as well to round people up. See, why would you need such a small little place? Why would you need so many police officers if they're not rounding people up? What would they be doing? You know, like, apart from fishing and living, you know what I mean? Like, and okay, so let's clarify the accommodation. I said accommodation. This is to do with the accommodation for the police officers as well. They did build a barracks later on in the years. I think that was around the turn of the 19th century. Accomplishment. This accomplishment. And Paul. Grid. Accomplishment. The parts and the grid. What is this accomplishment, please, Spirit? What is the accomplishment? Accomplishment. Oh my goodness, we've got the Seven of Swords. And a message. Seven of Swords. Accomplishment. That's, see, what was I saying? Oh, look. Great. Nine of Swords. 27, 27, 35, 35. 9, 9. So 27, 27 breaks down to nines, right, on the 7. And we've got the 9 of Swords. 35, 35, which is 8, 8. And that's like the prison, right? And look, we've got this shipwreck here and the anchoring. This is anchoring here because this is a port, right? Was a port. But there's a lot of swords. There is some, so it's accomplishment, but with regret and deception in a message about landing here. And we've got the 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands in reverse. So the burden is lifted. There's no burden because this is in reverse. Oh, sorry. No, this is the 9 of Wands. I'm thinking it's the 10 of Wands. The 9 of Wands is like the wounded warrior, right? Didn't I say inexperienced police officers? In reverse. So we've got the wounded warrior in reverse. So it's just giving me that inexperience. And this hunter, this fox, with the chicken. See, did I say that with rounding people up? The chicken, I'm feeling that that's the indigenous, is is the chicken, and this is the inexperienced police officers. And because we've got the seat here with a message as well. But we've got that in accomplishment. So they were accomplished in deceiving. The officers. They might have been selling them a pipe dream to get them out here, because that was the issue, that getting people out here to do the dirty work. But there was an accomplishment here to deceive. An accomplishment to deceive. Wow. Oh, and then we've got this overseer. No. This energy always gets me. See how he looks like an overseer, like those young police officers, all gung-ho, you can imagine, right? With their whips and chains, and in the, I noticed in the prison here, the cells, not all of them had it, but the one cell in the middle had a big steel link in the floor, like concreted in the floor. I'm assuming that that's where they chained the most wild up, because the other ones didn't have that link in there. That was just that one, and that was where I seen that was where I seen some people like lying on the concrete. In the chains, but lying on the ground, on the floor, chained. And here's our overseer. With no women. And that was something else. They said, look, a page, and this is also giving me that immature energy. Yeah, and women didn't want to come out here, so, and these are all young police officers, young men. So I can, use your imagination on that one. 7 of Wands, rats, like rats. They're saying they're like rats. Got rat shit on the table. This is how I'm seeing. They're looking at the people here as rats. Vermin. Maybe it was the rats that cause. I don't know how leprosy comes about, but I'm suspecting the rats. I'm getting the rats here. And they're eating the food off the ground. So rats in the food. I'll put that one back. And no women. Clarified manifestation. So they were successful in deceiving. Manifestation. But they deceived the police officers, these young men, to come out here. And it wasn't a king of cups, a king of hearts. 4-4, which is an 8, in the building. This could be the buildings here, the old buildings. A king of cups. Manifesting. He's the manifestor. This is generally a king of hearts is compassionate person. But maybe that's why regret is here with the Nine of Swords. He regretted. Because this is not necessarily a dark. This King of Cups is not a dark energy. This is actually a compassionate energy. But this other energy here of the young man, the page, the overseer, which I feel is the young police officers that are acting like wild animals towards these chickens, see, like, which is the indigenous people that they're rounding up and locking up. Any threat to settlement. See, this King of Cups is actually, he's manifested this, and with love, right? He was manifesting with love. Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment, with love, passion, the community, the settlement, settling this place, and this, because this is like a merchant place, you know, the ships are coming with all supplies and stuff for the outlying towns. So he manifested this with love. And that's what he was passionate about. It's almost like giving me like dreaming. You know, like almost like a blind faith. Love, to clarify love first here. Six of Pentacles, and we've got 2-2, which is balance. Balancing out love. This is money. Pentacles. This is about making money. That's what the love is. That's what the manifestation is. Manifesting the balancing the Pentacles. You got the Ten of Wands in reverse. They weren't burdened. Wow, I don't know how I can say that he wasn't burdened, but anyway, what's this decisiveness? What is the decisiveness? Spirit? Decisive. Ooh, we've got a snake. Indecisive about, I think I'm feeling the landings, like indecisive, like see, like all these, so you've got these paths, and where it's almost like trying to decide where to land the port, because this is almost like the mangroves to me, and the water between the mangroves. Indecisive. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, but we've got a snake here with the Page of Wands. So that's a message. And of course we've got the message here with this deception, see, the letter. And Page of Wands is a messenger. It's usually good news. But here we've got a snake. Because that message came with a deception. And that's why they're indecisive about where they're landing, something like that. And then we've got 7, 7, which is 14, which breaks down to a 5, which is change. Changing the place. And where to, you know, place the town, I guess. We've got a victory here, so that comes with a victory. What is this victory? Made a decision, I guess. 9 of Cups. This is wish fulfillment. And so he's on his horse, he's happy, he's building, he's in power, in control here, and he has a victory. And that's 1-1, which is 2, which is balance. Yeah. So you've got a victory over making a decision. Then we've got the 7 of Cups about his illusions. Something is an illusion, or this is options. This is options. You've got a victory over the options of, you know, like how to make it all happen. This is truth. 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 That's something to do with this hill, this truth. To do with the hill. Truth. 7 of Wands. There's those rats again. 23, that's 5-5 again. Just change. The rats. This is the indigenous people they're calling rats. 7 of Wands is defense. Defense. Defending against what they were saying is rats, which is the indigenous people on their own place. There was a lot of people here. There was a lot of people here. I mean, it would have been abundant food and water. There was water here as well. Like they have wells, but I don't know where the initial, original water for the indigenous people was. I should imagine there was, otherwise it wouldn't be here. 7 of Wands, and so this is balancing out, and they had a victory, and the truth is that they were rounding up the people, and that's why they had so many police officers here. All young and gung-ho, calling these indigenous people rats. They had a windfall. Something to do with this hill. 8 of walking awakes, listen comes, bottom of the deck. And that's 5-5 again, with 32, that's 5-5 again, that's change. So it's just like changing the environment, changing the ownership of the place. That's the windfall. This is the truth. It's almost like somebody standing up on that hill, looking down over it, over their accomplishment. With the windfall, yeah, because they won. They fought the indigenous here. They won over the place to settle. But they were ruthless, and there was lots of police officers. So this is kind of like around like 1860s. They started to settle here. I'm not sure the actual date when they first. I don't think I've seen any information about when they first actually got here. But they won this place with the sword, right? See how he's on his sword, like, this is ours, this is sort of like planting with, you know, like, this is now ours, you know? After they get rid of what they were calling the vermin. Oh, they poisoned them in the food. Did I not say the leprosy may have come with the rats and the food, because they brought in, you know, sugar and flour. I'm getting poison the flour. What happened here? Okay, so what is this windfall? It's still like really bad here, like out at Roburn and that, like, and of course, you know, now it's all like drug addiction and all that sort of stuff, so it's like, so, you know, like all the houses are all smashed up, and, you know, like, it's really fucked up, like that, people, the people here. And then you've got the other side of it, are the people that work out here on the mines and on the port, and because there's the big Cossack port and Wickham, and then you've got Port Sampson. You know, you've got all those, you know, people working for the mining industry with money, and everyone's got boats and shit. So there's those two really extreme opposites. You know, there's those affluent making a lot of money on the mining and the ports, and then you've got these the indigenous people that are really suffering. Communities are really suffering. So then we've got the Six of Wands, and this is where it stems from. It goes way back to this. You know, why they've ended up in this position in the first place. We've got 36, 36, which is 9, which is the ending of a cycle here, and the church is here. Six of Wands. That's coming under windfall, and so this is coming with the church with this cross. This is a victory again. So we've got victory out here twice. Well, walking away, because these people had to walk away from this beautiful place. So they lost. And we have the Page of Swords and the children. Oh my God, 13. This is giving me ages. Now there's this King of Swords. No, he's not a king. So Knight of Swords is spying on the children. It's giving me like that creepy spying on the children in the park sort of thing. The children were vulnerable here. As they were locking up the elders and, you know, their warriors. The women and children were vulnerable. See, this is something that I do know, like in the history books. There was a deal they made, like the government made deals with people to try and get them to come out into the remoter areas to work. And what they did was they would give people, this is like in the farming agriculture areas, and I should imagine it was probably pretty similar out here, and they would offer people like a parcel of land and a woman to go with it. You know what I mean? That was part of the deal, and this is actually written in the historic papers, in the government records. It was actually a written deal, so it's actually written on paper that they would offer people a parcel of land with a black woman, you know? And then they try and say that they didn't have slaves, you know? Oh no, they paid them. What did they pay them with? Some freaking poisonous food. Flour, and sugar, and tobacco, and alcohol, you know? Really fucked them up. So this is, and so this is giving me, they could do what they like, and you imagine all these police officers being sent out here, these overseers, predatory. You know, they just treating these people like vermin, they're just calling them rats. That's what I'm hearing. And their children were vulnerable. Oh my God. This is disgusting. And I could smell piss in the, I could smell piss when I was in the prison cells there too. Just grossed me out. Swords is in reverse at the bottom of the deck. So this is not moving to calmer waters. They weren't going anywhere. This is giving me like the prison. So they couldn't even move to calmer waters. They were locked up, put in prisons. And they've got a big prison just out of town here. It's still just as gross. Allowing people, it's just, anyway. Let me move on here. Like, okay, let's do some more clarifying. Let's see if there's anyone here in specific. Have we got any specific energies that want to say something here, please, Spirit? Have we got somebody that wants to say something? I can see big luck. So let's clarify the Seven of Swords meeting, and this is coming with the message. This is a meeting, this is the deception. What was this deception? Label this place. Police officer. Oh, women. Was I just talking about the women? Main female and good lady. Two women just came out like that. Meeting. Deceiving. Or is that a deceiving message? Is that what you're saying, Spirit? Yeah, they tried to get people to bring their wives out here too, but they couldn't. It was just too hard. Expand on that. A meeting, a deception about women. Is that a maybe that was a lie. So who's in regret here? Because we've got regret here. This could be like what they built for themselves was a whole mess, and now they've still got hundreds of people in prison. You know? They've still got we've got really, really high problem with the ratios of Indigenous people to other people in prison is just really out of whack. Like mostly Indigenous people are locked up. Nine of Swords, and this is a problem because now they don't know what they've got. What was the message I got the other day when I was doing one with the fire at Ashburton? I think it was. Yeah, because it got cut off when I was halfway through, and I said there, because that was a port as well, they came in there and they just came in with fire and burnt them out. And it was under the order of the Queen. That was the bit that I didn't get out because it cut off before I seen that. But it was ordered by the Queen, the actual burning them out like that. Now we've got high honour, an official person in reverse, and an illness in reverse. Now, what is it about the illness? Was I talking about leprosy? We've got high honour. We've got an official person in reverse. A police officer is in reverse, and I was talking about those younger officers. They were sold a pipe dream about being high honour. There's the deception right there. And this is the regret. They get out here and there's nothing here, like it's just wretched. The conditions were really bad, you know, they were living in tents, and I mean the weather out here, like I was saying, really extreme heat, and then you've got cyclones. And the wet weather, like when the wet weather comes in, everything's like bog, like really boggy, like they close roads and stuff up here all the time. So the meeting, the deception about the women, getting the women, these overseers. This is the young officers, right? The deception was about the women, getting the women, and when they get here, there's something about this illness in reverse. This is regret. So this is coming out with regret, is the high honour. I don't want to be a police officer anymore, somebody said. But they're not ill. Some sort of deception about this illness. Regret. The regret, maybe they're not ill. I don't know. Don't know. But this is all coming out on top of accomplishment, right? Accomplishment. Manifestation and the King of Cups. Ooh. False person. So he deceived. This king. At that time it was a king. What did I say about the queen? It was a king. But they were a false person. This is whoever, you know, like was, I don't know, whether to be a governor or, I didn't see anything that said who was the, you know, like the main man up at here, at the beginning. Balancing the pentacles. It's about the resources, right? 6, and with love. They love the money. They love the money. Never ending. Like, it's not over. It's not over. Now, I was saying that, right? It's not over because it's all, you know, like the mining and the ports. It's still a merchant place. We've got the gas mines here and the massive prison. A lot of Indigenous people put in the prison. So see how it's no different than then? It's just the same. And this is what this is saying. It hasn't ended. Okay. Yeah, that's all about the money. That's all. Okay, so this indecisive page. Snake, an indecisive page. A message, snake, child, child is in reverse. Oh my gosh, hang on, dropped all these ones here now. This page could be a child. Indecisive. Got a main male, a rich girl, and no legal matter. This is giving me like, child in reverse, and this is like these people just doing what they want. But this is indecisive. And a child in reverse. I mean, well, who would want to come and, you know, with all that going on, like, you imagine coming here as a couple and expecting to have children, and, you know, like, that could be what somebody's saying here. I'm not bringing my children out here. This main male and rich girl with no legal matter, no police. The police station, the police actually, there was like periods where there was no police. Only short spaces, because I think it was to do with the money or getting the people here, right? With deceit, getting the police to come out here, so they had to use the young officers. Yeah, and that's what this indecisiveness is. Hello, how you going? Yeah, so that's so this is the rich girl and the rich male, indecisive because of the lack of protection. It was, I can just see like mayhem, like wildness. I remember though, like, when I used to be like pilot for, not planes, you know, like the vehicle that drives in front of like the big machinery and whatnot, like on the roads to warn people that they've taken over the road. You know, I used to do that for a job. So you went out to all sorts of remote places and that, and you know, for the mining, heavy haulage, and when I was doing that job, I remember, you know, like all the other people that I worked with, it was all very male orientated. There wasn't very many women in that sort of industry then. And when the men left the city in the trucks, and you know, like the people I was working with and that, and they all leave their wives and stuff at home, right, obviously, and then they go out on the road. And it was like that then, you know, I would have been in my like early 20s then. It was pretty wild. And they would, it was like that attitude of, you know, like what is it like, they say, what, you know, like nobody talked about how different it was and the things that happened when they're out in the wild, like, you know what I mean? It's like they, you know, they'd be cheating on their wives and all that sort of shit. I was disgusted. But I had to, it was my job. I was in amongst it, but not, if you know what I mean. I was sort of like, well, I was the only woman in the job for a start. And, but then it was still really like very male orientated sort of world out in the mining industry. And that I remember going to a mine site, and they had and at the mine site they had like a donner, like just a basic transportable building where the miners and that would go in and you know, had their coffee and that sort of shit. And when they said to us to go and wait in there for some reason or whatever, and then all over the walls, plastered pictures, porn on porn. Like there was vaginas all over the walls and shit, you know, and I was like the only woman there going, well, this is kind of uncomfortable, you know. That was before, you know, there was more women coming into the industry and that. And it was just all men, you know, so it was like that. It was like, what the hell? I was like, this is disgusting. It's all changed now because it's just not like that anymore because there's like women in the mining. But I mean, when you think about it, I mean, I'm like 56. I was in my early 20s. It's not that long ago. But anyway. But I can see that being the scenario here. You know, you don't talk about the bad shit that happens out there in the Wild West. We've got change with the chariot and expectation. This is giving me this guy, and this is coming on with victory. And we've got this guy on his horse, and we've got this chariot here as well. See? So people coming, they were able to actually get the people to come. But that was through deception, right? Telling them about getting a woman with the job. But it was about the change, the expectation of, you know, like the frontier, expectation of changing their lives, making money. They had poor conditions. They didn't pay them very well either. So whoever this King of Cups is, this false person who deceived them and saying everything was great, right? They didn't realise, and then they're confronted with all this going down with the Indigenous people here, and looking down from the hill and seeing like all this going on around them. Prison. Did I not talk about prison? For that. People chained up and rows I just heard, and I seen the rows of the chakras on this card. People chained up in rows, like lines, chained up, like that. And they're calling them vermin. Putting them in prison, the ones that they. And when I was coming out, I was walking like shuffling along. When I was coming out of the cells and I was walking, I was being released. You know, like this is what happens with my channel. Sometimes I actually embody the people, and I just get all tingly thing now. And I came out of the cell. After I was like in the water, I could see the floor was all like water. That's what it's like here. And I was just shuffling and chained. And it was just slow shuffling. And it was just that feeling of like brokenness, absolute brokenness, you know, like that. I don't know, most of us have experienced times in our lives where we've been like in that numb state, like, and it was just, and we're just shuffling, just not even sort of like thinking to swallow or nothing, just shuffling out in the chains, absolute brokenness. It's so sad. Style of property. And they're the ones being called thieves. You know what I mean? Locked up because they're called thieves. When they just had everything stolen from them. The windfall in the church here. 6 of Wands. Church. church, what did I say? The church is the jail. Stocking them all up. What did I say? Vermin. Jail. Creating thieves. That's what they did. They created a whole lot of thieves. Because how were they going to survive? They weren't able to just be in their own country and fish and live as they did. They round them all up, knock them up. They had a victory, and they're calling this a windfall. But this problem is not gone away. Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups. And the Moon. Court. In the courthouse, it's in reverse, it's just walking away from the courthouse, walking away from the courthouse. This is Knight of Swords, Page of Swords, grief. Absolute grief, having to walk away. So this is somebody here watching and seeing them walk away, but this is coming out on the victory, watching and seeing the Indigenous people having to walk away before they get rounded up and locked up, right? And wow, this is like I'm seeing someone standing on top of that hill, looking over the community, this place, watching them walking away. That was the windfall. And hope. Five again, change. Smell that. Hello. So they've got hope. He's looking over and seeing and hope for the good Lord. So this is coming under the church to bless them. So all this destruction and grief and everything for the Indigenous, and then to bring hope, the church, the good Lord. It's like creating this whole situation and then giving hope with the good Lord. It's like taking with one hand, giving with one hand, taking with the other. It's been a long road. So what is it? Just good Lord? Partnership with the good Lord. This is to bring hope. So they brought the church in to, I see, Ricky thoughts. Oh my God. Did I not say this time? I was looking at the children. And then they'll come out. Murky thoughts. In the church. Grief. No court, because the court is in reverse, so there's no judgment. 'Cause the court is in reverse, so there's no judgment on that. Did I say that? Murky thoughts. 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 Murky there was no judgment on this grief that they were causing the Indigenous people here and the predatory ways of the church. But that's how they suppressed, right? That was a strategy, was to suppress with trauma, with sexual abuse, because that's how you create. You know, if you that was actually a strategy to traumatise a child of a certain age. It stops the development of the front lobe, and then they lose empathy, and they can be controlled with MK Ultra, like not the drug, but you know, they were introducing alcohol and that too to people, tobacco and addictions. So they introduced addictions, and this fake love with this hope with the church. So they created this predatory situation to actually work to suppress. Because you put shame on a whole community of people, it becomes sick, because that's the tactic. You put all that trauma on top of a community, and then that becomes generational, or the generational curse, right? And that's like sex magic. It's a strategy on a large scale to divide and conquer. And then, you know, then they don't even have to interfere at all, because they all start, they work on each other, you know what I mean? They start to abuse each other. And we've got marriage in reverse, and we haven't got sad news that there's no marriages, no proper engagements. And I didn't care about that. Success in love with the good Lord. Got a living room, big luck, and a long road. So this was the building. This was big luck, and it was a long road to the living room. So to the establishment of creating this establishment. That's how the war was won. Wow. It's amazing how these stories come out like this. They're all different. They're all different but the same, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Please like, share and subscribe. I'm going to get moving on to another location. I might, I'll do another video after this, and I'll just do a little, something to show you this actual little settlement here. Because it's quite beautiful, you know, but the energy's pretty dark. But it's peaceful at the same time. Alright, so I'll see you in the next video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much to those that, you know, for the super thanks. Yeah, that's really helpful for me. And yeah, so if you'd like to drop me a super thanks, that would be really great. And I can keep going with these. Or you can buy something from us. So you can go in, if you go in and click on something, and that'll lead you through to the shop, and you can have a look at all the other stuff I've got on there. Some of the things, you know, I need to go in there and do some work, but I've been finding it difficult because getting my my Wi-Fi connections and things like that. So it's been very difficult for me to tap in and work on that some more. But I will get there. So yeah, I mean, this is finishing here like with a gift and unexpected money and his thoughts. So it's all about money. All right, so I'll leave it there and see you in the next one. Bye bye.